Good evening, friends. Welcome everyone for today's session on FDI regulation for real estate business, a practical case study. So, friends, just to be making it clear at the first itself, we will not deep dive into the entire regulation of FDI for real estate business, but maybe just an overview and then move on to a practical case study which we have in our hand. Again, why choosing that case study will let you know as and when the case study appears. Before that, would like to acknowledge the efforts of Vigneshwar for making this presentation ready. Legends used in the presentation: DIPP, Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, FDI, Foreign Direct Investment, FEMA, Foreign Action Management Act 1989, RBI, Reserve Bank of India. So the schema, bird's eye view of relevant FEMA provisions for real estate business, the case study, again relating to that case study, the analysis of various terms like real estate business, transfer, lease, what inference we can draw, and the way forward. So as we all know, FDI is not permitted in an entity which is engaged or proposes to engage in real estate business, construction of farmhouse, and trading in TDRs, that is transferable developmental rights. Therefore, a person outside India cannot invest in India, which is in Indian company which is engaged or proposes to engage in a real estate business. However, there are some exceptions. FDI is permitted in an entity carrying out the construction development projects, which would include development of townships, construction of residential and commercial premises, roads or bridges, city and regional level infrastructures and townships. So these are the exceptions in this. FDI is allowed, but a pure real estate business, buying and selling of lands or construction of farmhouses and trading in TDRs is not allowed. So the case study, what we have in our hand, say for example, an Indian company which is not engaged in real estate business and has an FDI. It has purchased the land solely for its business purpose. Say suppose they want to construct or develop a factory. For that purpose, they have purchased the land. So that is allowed if at all it is for the purpose of business and not selling and buying, then it is allowed. So till the time it is used for the intended purpose, that is, say in our example, for opening up a factory or constructing a factory, the management is planning to lease the idle land with an intention to earn a passive income, maybe leasing the land and earning a nominal rental income. The question is whether such leasing of land is permitted for an Indian company which has FDI. So, friends, this is a very practical scenario wherein, like, we have received inquiries from our client as well as to we have an FDI, that is, there are foreign investments in our company, and we have a land or an idle building for which we had taken it for the purpose of business. As long as that business is not getting fructify or is yet to be started, we are planning to lease this premise and earn some nominal rental income, whether that is allowed or not. Let us try and analyze the various provisions of FEMA and in relating to FDI and confirm whether it is allowed or not. As I said, analysis of the relevant terms. First, let us analyze the term real estate business. What is the meaning of real estate business? Real estate business means dealing in land and immovable property with a view to earning profit therefrom. Now, the definition requires an intention to earn profit, and it says dealing in land and immovable property. So, as far as leasing of immovable property is concerned, yes, we are dealing again into an immovable property. Whether leasing or earning rental income tantamounts to earning profit, yes, there is no definition of profit provided in FEMA, but profit, general parlance, it's known as excess of revenue and expenditure. So we can say that earning rental income or lease income, yes, would fall within the ambit of profit. So per se, going with the first limb of the definition of real estate business, leasing of immovable property would fall under that. Now let us see whether our activity of leasing falls within any of the exceptions provided. So yeah, there are exclusions, as I mentioned earlier as well. Development of townships, constructions of residential commercial premises, roads and bridges, education institutions, recreational facilities, city and regional level infrastructure, and township. So these are excluded. And earning of rent or income on lease of property not amounting to transfer will not be regarded as real estate business. So friends, further exclusion is earning of rental income. If we just stop here, yes, then our case falls squarely falls within that ambit and would not be regarded as real estate business. But the exclusion goes further and says not amounting to transfer. So now we need to confirm whether leasing of property, so from lessor to lessee, whether leasing of property that falls within the definition of transfer or not. So as per FDI policy, transfer includes sale, exchange, or relinquishment of the asset, extinguishment of any rights therein, compulsory acquisition thereof under any other law, transaction which is regarded as transfer under the Transfer of Property Act 1882, and any transaction by acquiring shares in a company or by way of any agreement or any arrangement in any manner whatsoever which has the effect of transferring or enabling the enjoyment of an immobile property. So let us figure out whether the leasing activity falls within the ambit of transfer. It is no, there is no sale, there is no exchange, there is no relinquishment of any asset, but yes, it falls within the ambit of clause B, that is extinguishment of rights. So friends, extinguishment of rights in a normal parlance means right to use the immobile property. So a person who is leasing the property, he gives up his right, he extinguishes his right in that immobile property for a specified period. That period can be like say 11 months, 12 months, or 5 years, depending on the lease agreement. It can be so. Till that time, there is no right, yeah, except for the sale right, but there is no other rights, or the lessor cannot provide enjoy any rights attached to that property, because he has leased out that property and now the property is with lessee. He will be using that for his business or personal use, as the case may be. So leasing of premises, that is immobile property, would be regarded as transfer because it falls within the limb of clause B, that is extinguishment of any rights. Now let us first confirm whether lease, again it is not provided in the definition of IMO, whether our entire activity is the lease of immobile property falls within the extinguishment of rights or not. As mentioned, the definition of lease is not provided in FEMA. So we need to go to another law, that is Transfer of Property Act 1882, which is again, I would not say the exact act for our query, but yes, somewhere somewhat similar. If you see that, there also it is mentioned a lease of immobile property is a transfer of a right to enjoy such property made for a certain time, express or implied, or in perpetuity, in consideration of a price paid or promised, or of money in share of crop, service, or any other of value, to be rendered periodically or on specified occasion to the transfer by the transferee who accepts the transfer on such terms. So if you understand, in the normal scenario, lease of immobile property is a transfer of right, that as I mentioned earlier, there is an extinguishment of right. So a person who is transferring cannot enjoy the benefits which are attached to that property for that specified period. The benefits are vested with the lessee. So in such a scenario, our lease transaction would fall within the ambit of extinguishment of rights, which is falling under the definition of transfer. So lease of immobile property falls within the definition of transfer. So as we conclude or infer here, as it is falling within the definition of transfer, only leasing of immobile property which do not tantamount to transfer would be disregarded as real estate business. But as in our case, if at all it is falling within the ambit of transfer, it would be regarded as real estate business. And yes, then in such a scenario, the company, the Indian company who is having FDI, even for earning nominal income, even for earning nominal income for a very shorter period of time, still it would not be allowed for that Indian company which is having FDI to lease out the immobile property. So again, whether any possibility of like doing that after getting approval of RBI or government, no, as the activity of real estate business for FDI is strictly principally disallowed. So there is no principle, or the principle of FEMA or FDI itself, or FDI policy itself says no FDI is allowed in real estate business. Even though we try to seek approval of RBI or government, it would be upfront rejected. So in such a scenario, we hereby conclude that if an Indian company is having FDI, even though it is not into real estate business, it has a real estate business and it is leasing out, it has a immobile property and it is leasing out that immobile property for earning nominal rental income, that activity is not allowed as per FEMA or FDI or FDI laws or RBI. So these were some of the thoughts on the practical case study. We felt this case study was relevant as there were numerous uh, instances where the query was required to be sorted, or there was a clarification required. We thought to convert that into a webinar and share it with you guys. In case of any questions, would be happy to answer. Thank you, friends.